I never thought a single evening could unravel my entire world. I was tired, bones aching from 12 hours at the café, yet I hurried home with one thought in my head: Isla. She was waiting for me, and I had promised myself I'd make her smile tonight, even if it meant skipping dinner. Again. Hey, I said as I stepped into the apartment, careful not to drop my bag. I grabbed some bread from the corner store. Not much, but... Isla didn't answer. She was scrolling on her phone, a small smile playing on her lips. My chest tightened, a quiet warning I didn't understand yet. You look tired, she said finally, not looking up. Did you eat anything today? Yeah. I mean, just some bread, I admitted, pulling a chair closer. I didn't want to bother you with. You never do, she interrupted, finally glancing at me. Her eyes held that warmth I used to drown in. But that's okay. You always think about me first. I notice that, you know. I smiled despite the fatigue. I want to make sure you're taken care of. She reached out and touched my hand. I know. I love you for it. The words made my heart twist. Love, I thought. Love would get us through this. If we had love, everything else could wait. Then her voice dropped slightly, casual, too casual. Hey, can we meet somewhere tomorrow? I want to talk. Sure, I said, unaware that those 3 words would precede the end of everything. Where? Café Lumière. 7? I nodded, forcing a calm I didn't feel. 7's perfect. I'll be there. The next evening, I walked into Café Lumière, nervous but eager. The place smelled of expensive coffee and polished wood, far removed from the dingy cafés I worked at. I scanned the tables and froze when I saw her. Isla. Sitting across from some man I didn't know. His suit was tailored, his smile confident. I swallowed hard and approached. Isla? My voice shook. She looked up, startled, then her expression softened, then shifted into something I didn't recognize. She gestured toward the empty chair. Sit. We need to talk. I pulled out the chair and sat, my hands trembling. Hey, so, who's? This is Horace, she said smoothly, introducing the man. Horace, this is, well, you know him. Horace smiled, and my stomach sank. There was a confidence there I couldn't touch. Nice to meet you, he said. I forced a smile. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Isla leaned back, her fingers playing with the rim of her cup. Look. I've been thinking a lot, she began, her voice calm, measured. And I can't. I can't do this anymore. What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Do this, what? This, she said, gesturing vaguely, but I understood. My heart stopped. Us. This life we have. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of... You're tired of me? I asked, incredulous. After everything? After all the nights I went hungry so you could eat? Her eyes didn't waver. I can't live like this anymore. I want more. I need more. I felt the room tilt. Isla, you're breaking up with me. Yes, she said, soft but firm. I met someone. Horace. He can give me the life I want. I'm sorry. I blinked, trying to process. You're leaving me for money? She shrugged lightly, like it was a simple choice, like it was nothing. I love you, but I can't pretend this is enough anymore. I can't pretend poverty is okay. I need security. I laughed, a sound that cracked from disbelief. Security? Is that what this is? I gave you everything I had. My time, my heart, my everything. And now it's not enough? Horace's presence felt heavier, like a wall pressing against me. I thought. I thought we were building a life together. We were, she said, voice cold now, rehearsed. But love isn't always enough, is it? I felt my chest tighten, tears threatening. No. Love is everything. Love should be enough. Isn't it supposed to be enough for you? She shook her head. I'm sorry, but it's not. I reached for her hand. Please. Isla. Remember the nights we sat on the roof, talking about the future. Remember the promises. The dreams. Don't throw all that away. She pulled her hand back gently. I'm not throwing it away. I'm choosing a different path. You deserve someone who can't give you the life you want, and I deserve the life I want. I'm sorry. I felt numb, frozen. Horace, you're just some rich guy she met? My voice trembled. Horace smiled faintly, but didn't speak. His silence cut deeper than words. I can't believe this, I whispered. I can't believe you do this. After everything. Everything. Isla stood, smoothing her dress, her eyes polite but detached. I have to go. Horace is waiting. No, please. Don't just walk away. I grabbed her arm lightly. Look at me. Look at me and tell me this is right. She shook her head. I'm sorry, she repeated. Goodbye. And just like that, she was gone. I watched her walk across the café, the man beside her, hand in hand, smiling at each other. My hands shook, my chest burned, and I couldn't breathe. I sank into the chair, staring at the empty space where she had Saturday. Why? I whispered to no one. Why would you do this? The waiter approached cautiously. Sir, are you okay? I'm fine, I said, though my voice cracked. Just the wrong coffee, I guess. I left the café, stepping into the cold night air. Everything felt sharper, crueler. The streets looked different, brighter lights mocking me, happy couples passing by, laughing. My stomach knotted. My chest ached. I wanted to scream, to cry, to break something. But I only walked, numb, feeling every promise I had made, every hope I had nurtured, shatter behind me. Back in my apartment, I sat on the floor, head in my hands. I remembered the small dreams we shared, the quiet talks about a future together. Each memory now stabbed like a knife. She chose him, I whispered. She chose money over me. Over us. I thought about all the nights I'd skipped meals so she could eat. All the hours I spent working extra shifts to save a little. All the plans I had sketched in notebooks, imagining our life together. Gone. All gone. I felt tears slide down my face, but I refused to let them fall fully. I refused to let her see me broken, not anymore. Not in this moment. Because even as my heart shattered, something inside me sparked. I clenched my fists. I'll get through this. I'll make something of myself. I'll make her regret this someday. Not now, but someday. And for the first time, as the night deepened, I realized that love wasn't just about giving, it was also about surviving. I woke up the next morning feeling like my chest had been replaced with stone. The apartment was silent, except for the hum of the old fridge. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept. I hadn't moved. I tried calling Isla once more, though I knew it was pointless. Hello? I said, voice shaking, when she didn't answer the first time. Nothing. I tried again. Isla, please, just listen. I can't understand why. Still nothing. I dropped the phone onto the bed and lay there staring at the ceiling. The cracks in the plaster seemed to mock me. I had nothing now. Nothing. No love, no comfort, no future. The landlord knocked mid-morning. "Rent's late again," he said bluntly. I'll pay. Soon, I mumbled, avoiding his gaze. "You've been saying that for months, kid." "I'm serious this time." I nodded numbly. "I understand." As soon as he left, I grabbed my coat and went out, walking the streets aimlessly. Couples held hands, laughing. People chatted over coffee. I felt invisible, erased from the world I had once belonged to. At the corner store, I muttered to the cashier, "Just a loaf of bread, please." "Rough night?" she asked, a kind smile on her face. I forced a chuckle. "You could say that." When I got home, I opened my laptop, trying to focus on freelance work. But my mind kept replaying every moment with Isla, her smile, her touch, the way she said my name. And then the café. The coldness. The words. "I'm tired of struggling. I want more." I slammed the laptop shut. "How could you? How could you throw everything away?" I whispered into the empty room. Bilal called around noon. "Hey man, you good?" I'm fine," I lied, staring out the window. "You sound like hell. You okay?" "I can come over." I don't want to see anyone." "You're pushing everyone away. You need help." "I don't need help," I snapped, voice sharper than intended. I don't know. I need her back. But she's gone." Silence. "Then, kid, sometimes people leave, and there's nothing you can do. You can't make them stay." I hung up, anger and pain twisting inside me. "Make them stay? Make them stay?" I muttered. "Do you know what it feels like to watch someone you love walk into another man's life and smile?" I went to work, hoping distraction would dull the ache. But it didn't. My manager frowned. "You okay, man? You've been off all week." "I'm fine," I muttered, though my hands trembled as I organized the trays. "You sure? You made a mistake on that order yesterday." "Big one." I swallowed. "I'll fix it." Hours later, I did. I repeated the process mechanically, trying not to cry in the kitchen. My coworkers noticed. Some whispered. Some avoided me. I felt humiliated, exposed, weak. After work, I went to a cheap diner. I picked the corner booth, away from everyone. I tried to eat, but nothing tasted right. The waitress gave me a concerned look. "You okay, hun?" I shook my head. I'll be fine. Just, leave me alone, please." She nodded but lingered. "Breakups, huh?" I looked up sharply. "How do you know?" She shrugged. "I've seen it before. You look like someone just got punched in the gut. Emotionally." I laughed bitterly. "Punched? More like stabbed. And thrown out for good measure." She smiled faintly, filling my chest with anger instead of comfort. "Well, you'll get through it. You always do, eventually." I slammed my hand on the table. I don't want eventually. I want now. I want her to see what she's lost. The words echoed, hollow. I realized then that nothing would bring her back. Not anger, not pleading, not any dream I held on to. She had chosen Horace, chosen wealth, chosen another life. And I had nothing. Returning home, the apartment felt smaller than ever. I checked my bank account, barely enough to pay for next week's rent. I tried to call Isla again, hoping against reason. "Please. I need to hear you, I whispered. No answer. I threw the phone across the room. Damn it. I screamed. I sank to the floor. The walls seemed to close in. I thought about all the meals I had skipped, all the extra hours at work, all the small sacrifices I had made for her. And for what? Nothing. She didn't care. She never would. A knock at the door startled me. I opened it to see Bilal again, frowning. Dude, you can't keep living like this. You're going to destroy yourself. I don't care, I muttered, voice hollow. She's gone. Nothing matters. You matter. Don't you see? I can't watch you drown in this. I'm already drowning, I whispered. I'm sinking, Bilal. And there's nothing you can do. He knelt beside me. Look, I know it hurts. Bad. But you can't let it ruin you. She made her choice. You can make yours. What choice? I asked bitterly. To starve? To cry myself to sleep every night? To let her happiness haunt me forever? Yes, he said firmly. Or, you can fight. You can survive. You can rebuild. You can be better than she ever imagined. I didn't answer immediately. I just stared at him, numb. His words rang in my head. Fight? Rebuild? Be better? Could I really do it? Could I rise from this mess? I felt a surge of something I hadn't felt in days, anger, yes, but also resolve. My fists clenched. Maybe you're right, I muttered. Maybe I can. I have to. Bilal nodded, a faint smile breaking his serious expression. That's the spirit. I'll help you, whatever you need. You're not alone. I finally allowed myself to sit up, breathing deeply. I need to change. I can't keep living like this. I'll work. I'll push myself. I'll survive. And Isla, he asked gently. I felt a flicker of cold clarity. Isla, she's gone. And she's staying gone. But I'll remember everything. Every moment. Every word. And one day, she'll see what she lost. One day. Bilal put a hand on my shoulder. Good. Start small. One step at a time. You've got this. I nodded, feeling a spark of hope I hadn't felt in weeks. My apartment was messy, my stomach growling, my mind spinning, but I had a plan forming. Not for revenge yet. Not for love yet. But a plan to survive. To reclaim myself. To be stronger. That night, I lay on my bed, staring at the cracked ceiling. The city outside was alive with lights, laughter, and noise. And I was alive too, even if I felt broken. I'll survive this, I whispered to myself. I'll survive, and I'll rise. Somehow, I'll rise. Sleep didn't come easily. But for the first time in days, it felt possible. The call came unexpectedly, right when I was starting to accept that my life was over. My phone rang, and I almost didn't pick it up. Something told me to, though, and I did. Hello? I said, voice tired. Is this Umar? A calm, deep voice asked. Yes. Who's calling? I asked cautiously. This is Mr. Kareem. I believe we're distant relatives. I was told you might be in need of work. I blinked. Yeah. I mean, I need work, yes. Good. I run a small logistics company, and we're looking for someone reliable. I hear you have a strong work ethic. I laughed nervously. Well, I've been told I work hard. I'm willing to try anything. Excellent. Meet me tomorrow morning at my office. 9 o'clock sharp. I agreed without hesitation. That night, I barely slept. For the first time in weeks, a tiny spark of hope flickered inside me. Maybe this was my chance. The next morning, I took the bus to a part of the city I barely knew. Mr. Kareem's office was a modest building, nothing fancy, but it smelled like opportunity. Umar, a man's voice called as I entered. Yes, sir, I said, straightening my back. He shook my hand firmly. Welcome. Let's talk. I listened as he explained the company, the work, the challenges. Every word felt like a lifeline. I nodded along, absorbing everything. I'll give you a chance, he said finally. But you must be ready to work harder than anyone else. Can you do that? Yes, I said immediately, though my voice trembled. I won't disappoint you. Good, he said with a faint smile. We start tomorrow. The first days were brutal. I worked from dawn to dusk, hauling boxes, organizing shipments, learning procedures. My body ached constantly, and I felt like giving up more than once. You're sweating again, a coworker remarked on my second day. Yeah, I said, wiping my forehead. I'm trying. Trying what? He asked. To survive, I muttered. Another coworker, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, glanced at me. You look exhausted. Are you new here? Yes. My name's Umar. I need this job badly. She smiled. Then work hard, but remember to take care of yourself too. I nodded, but I didn't take her advice to heart. I couldn't. I had to prove something, to myself, to the world, maybe even to Isla, though I wouldn't admit it yet. Weeks passed. I made mistakes, big ones, but I refused to quit. Every error was a lesson. Every long night was a building block. Mr. Kareem noticed my dedication. You're improving, he said one evening. Faster than I expected. Thank you, sir, I said. I want to do my best. You have potential, he said, looking me over. More than you realize. I swallowed hard. I'll work harder. I promise. And I did. I learned finance, leadership, logistics, negotiation. I asked questions constantly, absorbed knowledge like a sponge. My body ached, but my mind was alive, sharper than ever. One night, I stayed late after everyone left. I leaned against the desk, staring at the empty office. I can't believe I'm doing this, I muttered. You should believe it, a voice said. I jumped. Mr. Kareem stood in the doorway. You've been working late. Again. I want to get it right, I admitted. I need to change my life. He nodded slowly. I see. You have ambition. That's rare. Most people give up when life hits them hard. I won't give up, I said. You remind me of myself, he said quietly. When I started, I had nothing. I failed constantly. But I kept going. You have a chance, Umar. Don't waste it. I won't, sir, I promised, voice firm. As months turned into a year, I changed. Not just in skill, but in myself. My body grew stronger. My mind grew sharper. My confidence grew steadily, quietly, until I didn't recognize the man I had been. Bilal visited once and nearly didn't recognize me. Umar, is that you? He asked, eyes wide. Yeah, I said with a small smile. I've been busy. Busy? You're thriving. I mean, you're a completely different person. I shrugged. I had to. I couldn't go back to the old me. The broken me. Not after everything. He looked at me seriously. Good. Keep going. One day, you'll look back and be glad. I nodded. I hope so. During that time, I also wrestled with my feelings about Isla. I heard through mutual friends that she had been with Horace for months. I tried not to care, tried not to think about the betrayal, but sometimes it slipped through, a bitter taste I couldn't shake. You're thinking about her again, Bilal said one night. I can't help it, I admitted. I see her in my mind constantly. That night. The café. Her walking away. Let it fuel you, he said gently. Not anger. Not hate. Use it to build yourself. I considered his words. Build myself, not for her. But because I need to. I can't stay broken. One afternoon, Mr. Karim called me into his office. Sit down, Umar. I've been watching your progress. You've exceeded my expectations. Thank you, sir, I said, heart racing. You have a good head on your shoulders. I'm thinking, maybe leadership could suit you. You're responsible, diligent, intelligent. Would you like to take more responsibility? Yes, I would. Absolutely. Good, he said, leaning back. But remember, with power comes more work. More responsibility. Can you handle it? I can. I have to. Excellent. I see potential in you. Not just for this company, but for life itself. Those words stayed with me long after the meeting. Life itself. It sounded grand, distant, but also possible. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. Real hope. Late that night, I sat in my small apartment, exhausted but alive. I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Who am I now? I whispered. You're Umar, I said quietly to myself. The boy who survived. The boy who refused to give up. The boy who will rise. I thought of Isla. I didn't feel hate, exactly. Not yet. But I felt the faintest ember of determination. Someday, she would see me differently. Someday, she would understand what she lost. But for now, I had to survive. I had to work. I had to grow. Every hour, every mistake, every triumph built me into someone unrecognizable from the man she left behind. And in that quiet, exhausted apartment, I made a silent promise to myself. I will rise, I whispered. No one will break me again. Not her. Not life. No one. Years passed, and I wasn't the boy who collapsed in a cafe anymore. I had built myself from nothing, and every late night, every mistake, every calloused hand became part of me. I was stronger now, sharper, smarter, and far more focused. One afternoon, Bilal called. Hey man, are you free? I want you to meet someone. Who? I asked, though I already felt a twinge of curiosity. You'll see. Just come to the cafe downtown. When I arrived, he was already seated with a woman. She had calm eyes, a quiet confidence. Umar, this is Zara, Bilal said. I shook her hand. Nice to meet you. Likewise, she said softly. Her smile wasn't the kind that made your heart race, it was the kind that made you feel steady, like you could breathe easier. So, what do you do? She asked. I work in logistics. Management now. It's been a long road, I said, shrugging slightly. Management? That's impressive, she said. I laughed faintly. Impressive? Hardly. I just survived, really. Zara tilted her head. Surviving is nothing to scoff at. Bilal smiled knowingly. See? I told you she was smart. I couldn't help but study her. There was something different about her, something grounding. I hope we can work together on some projects, I said. You seem capable. I like challenges, she said. And I don't quit easily. Her words hit me in a way I didn't expect. For years, I had been running, fighting, surviving. Now, meeting her, I felt calm. Like maybe someone could match the fire inside me with steadiness instead of chaos. Months went by. Zara and I worked together on multiple projects. She was brilliant, calm under pressure, and her insights were sharp. She challenged me intellectually, forcing me to think differently, to see problems I wouldn't have noticed. One evening, after a long strategy meeting, she stayed behind. Umar, you've changed a lot, she said quietly. I leaned back in my chair. I had to. After everything, I couldn't stay the same. She nodded. I can tell. You carry yourself differently. But there's still something in you. Some pain. I exhaled slowly. Yeah. Some scars never fade. Some nights, I still feel like that broken kid sitting on the café floor. She stepped closer. And do you let it define you? No, I said immediately. I refuse to. I let it push me. Every day, every hour. I want to be better. Not just for me, but for the people who matter now. Her gaze softened. I think you've done well. But you don't have to carry it alone. I looked at her, unsure why her words mattered so much. I've never trusted easily. After being left behind. I don't know if I can. You don't have to trust blindly, she said gently. Just see who people really are. And let them in slowly. Her voice was calm, patient. For the first time in years, I felt the weight of loneliness lift slightly. Maybe I could trust again. Maybe I could hope again. One night, Bilal and I were working late in my office when he nudged me. You know, she's different. You feel it too, right? I hesitated. Different how? She sees you. Not just the success, not just the scars, but you. The real you. I leaned back, silent for a moment. I don't know if I can let someone see me like that. Bilal smiled. That's because you're afraid she'll leave. But maybe this time, she won't. I didn't answer immediately. I just thought about Zara's calm eyes, her quiet strength. The way she didn't try to fix me or push me, just let me exist. It felt like home. As the company grew, I gained more responsibility, more influence. I worked tirelessly, often late into the night. Yet Zara's presence brought a balance I hadn't realized I needed. One evening, she asked, Umar, do you ever think about her? I stiffened. Ayla? Yes, she said softly. She was part of your past. But I mean, how do you feel now? I took a deep breath. I don't hate her anymore. I don't even think about revenge. I just remember the lessons. The pain, the betrayal, it taught me something. Made me stronger. Made me who I am now. She nodded slowly. That's admirable. Most people would be consumed by anger or regret. Maybe I was, I admitted. For a while. But I realized, if I let her control my emotions, I'd never move forward. I had to rise. For me. For my life. She smiled faintly. And for the right reasons, too. Not just for proving someone wrong. Exactly, I said. I want to succeed because I can, because I deserve it, not to spite her. That's not the point anymore. Months turned into years. Zara and I grew closer, not just as colleagues, but as friends, as partners. She understood my ambitions, my past, my scars, and never judged. One night, while working on a critical merger, she said, "Umar, I want you to trust me completely. Not just with work, but with life. With your heart." I looked at her, surprised. That's not easy for me. I know, she said. But I think we can be stronger together. I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore. Her words hit me hard. I realized I had spent years carrying pain, building myself from nothing, learning to survive alone. And now, someone was offering me partnership, trust, maybe even love. Something real. I want that, I admitted quietly. But I'm scared. Afraid of being hurt again. I'll never hurt you, she said simply. Not intentionally. I'll be honest, I'll be patient, and I'll be here. I nodded slowly, letting her words sink in. Okay, let's try. Together. That night, as I left the office, I walked the quiet streets of the city. I felt lighter than I had in years. The boy who had collapsed in a café, heartbroken and broken, was gone. In his place stood someone who had survived, learned, and grown. Someone who had risen from the ashes. I thought about Isla, the girl who left me for money. My anger and bitterness had faded into the background. I didn't hate her, I merely acknowledged that she was part of my past, a catalyst for my growth. Zara's presence reminded me that life wasn't about holding on to old wounds, it was about building something new. And I was doing exactly that. I paused under a streetlight, staring at my reflection in the darkened window of a shop. I've come a long way, I whispered. I survived. I grew. I rose. I thought about the company, the late nights, the struggles, the victories. I thought about Zara, her calm eyes, her steady presence. And I smiled faintly. For the first time, I whispered to myself, I feel whole. Not broken. Not lost. Not abandoned. And in that quiet city street, under the pale glow of the lamp, I felt hope, not the fragile kind, but real, solid, unshakable hope. I had survived betrayal. I had built myself from nothing. And now, I was rising, finally, fully, and for myself. It was a late Thursday evening when I first saw her again, Isla. I hadn't thought about her in months, not really. Not in a way that hurt. I had Zara, a life I was proud of, a future I was building. And yet, there she was, standing across a crowded lobby at a business gala, laughing at something Horace said. My stomach twisted. I felt a sudden, unfamiliar tension. Part of me wanted to look away, to pretend I didn't notice. Another part wanted to storm over and confront her, to demand an explanation for everything. Umar, you okay? Zara's voice pulled me back. She had noticed my sudden stiffening. I shook my head. Yeah, I'm fine. She raised an eyebrow. Sure. You've been staring at the lobby for the last 2 minutes like someone just shoved a knife in your chest. I swallowed. Maybe I saw someone I knew. Zara didn't press further, though her eyes stayed sharp. I was grateful for that. I focused on her instead, forcing myself to breathe and steady my nerves. I tried to ignore Isla, but she kept appearing in my line of sight. Every laugh, every gesture, every flash of her smile that I once adored was now a reminder of the past I had survived. I thought I had buried the hurt, but seeing her, it came rushing back in vivid color. Do you want to step outside for some air? Zara asked quietly, sensing my unease. I nodded. Yeah, that would be good. Outside, the cold night air hit me. I leaned against the railing, trying to compose myself. You okay? She asked again. I exhaled slowly. Yeah. I'm fine. Just memories. She tilted her head. Oh. Someone from your past? Yeah, I said quietly. Isla. My ex. Zara frowned slightly. You too, ended badly? I laughed bitterly. You could say that. She chose money over me. Left me in a café like I didn't exist. Zara's expression softened. That sounds painful. Painful doesn't cover it, I muttered. I begged her. I tried to remind her of promises, dreams, the life we wanted. She didn't care. Walked away without looking back. I'm sorry, she said gently. But look at you now. You survived. You built yourself. You didn't just rise, you soared. Her words were like a bomb, but they also made my chest tighten. Yeah. I did. But seeing her again, it reminds me of what I lost. Or thought I lost. Zara took my hand. You didn't lose yourself. You found someone better. Someone who sees you. That's more important. I nodded, squeezing her hand. You're right. I can't let her shadow my life anymore. I turned back to the gala through the glass doors. Isla hadn't noticed me yet. She was animated, smiling, showing off the wealth she had once chosen over love. Horace laughed at something she said, placing a possessive hand on her shoulder. Do you want me to leave you alone for a minute? Zara asked, sensing the tension. No, I said quickly. I want to face it. Not for her, but for me. I need to see this through my own eyes. Zara nodded and gave a small, supportive smile. I've got your back. I walked back inside, feeling a strange mix of fear and determination. My heartbeat was fast, but I forced myself to stay calm. I approached her cautiously. Isla, I said, voice steady but loud enough to catch her attention. She turned slowly, her eyes widening as she saw me. Umar, she whispered. Yes. It's me, I said. I didn't expect to see you here. Her face faltered for a moment, a flicker of something, regret, passing across it. Neither did I. I studied her, trying to understand her. She looked different, more polished, more distant. How have you been? I asked carefully. Good. I'm good, she said, though her voice lacked conviction. And you? I've been better, I admitted honestly. Much better. Her eyes softened slightly. I heard about your success. Congratulations. Truly. I nodded, a faint smile touching my lips. Thank you. I've worked hard for it. For myself. She glanced at Horace, then back at me. Umar. I didn't. I mean. You didn't what? I asked calmly, though inside I was tense. I regret how I left things, she admitted quietly. I blinked, surprised. Regret? After all these months? Yes. I realized I made a mistake. But it's complicated. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. Complicated? Isla, you left me for money. You walked away from love. Complicated doesn't even begin to cover it. Her eyes filled with tears, though she blinked them back quickly. I was young. I didn't understand. I took a step closer, my voice calm but firm. Understand what? That love isn't measured in money? That promises aren't disposable? She looked down. I know. I see it now. Good, I said quietly, though my chest ached. Because I've moved on. I've survived. I've built a life. And I'm happy. Truly happy. Her lips trembled, and for the first time, I realized something. I no longer cared about her choices. Her presence no longer held power over me. I'm glad, she said softly, though her eyes lingered on me. Truly. You deserve it. I nodded. Thank you. Horace appeared then, looking curious and slightly protective. Who's this? He asked, his voice sharp. She's someone from my past, I said, neutral but assertive. Nothing more. Horace's eyes narrowed. Past? What are you implying? Nothing, I said firmly. She left. I moved on. I'm focused on my present and future. Horace's jaw tightened, but he said nothing more. I could feel the tension in the air, but I didn't flinch. I wasn't that broken boy anymore. Isla looked at me, her expression a mixture of guilt and longing. I ignored it. My focus was Zara, who had followed me inside and was standing quietly by my side. Her hand brushed mine, a silent reminder that I wasn't alone. I turned back to Isla. Goodbye, Isla, I said calmly. I hope you find what you're looking for. But know this, I'm done living in the shadow of the past. She swallowed hard, her lips quivering. Umar. I shook my head. No. Words aren't enough anymore. Actions speak louder, and I've already moved forward. I suggest you do the same. With that, I turned to Zara. Shall we? I asked, offering my hand. She smiled, taking it. We shall. Outside, the city lights reflected on the wet streets. I felt lighter than I had in years. I had faced the ghost of my past and walked away stronger. I had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and abandonment. And now, I had someone by my side who truly mattered, someone who saw me, not the boy I was, not the scars I carried, but the man I had become. Thank you for staying, I said quietly to Zara as we walked together. For staying? She asked, teasing lightly. For being here, I corrected. For trusting me. For being you. She laughed softly. I think we make a good team, don't you? I smiled, feeling warmth spread through me. Yes. The best team. And as we walked through the streets, leaving the past behind, I finally felt free. The boy abandoned in a café had risen, survived, and reclaimed his life. And now, the future was mine, not because I chased revenge, not because I needed validation, but because I had fought, endured, and chosen to rise above it all. It happened sooner than I expected. I wasn't looking for it, and I certainly wasn't prepared. But life has a way of putting people in front of you when you least expect it, especially those who once broke you. I was hosting a business networking event at the company's new headquarters. The place was buzzing with energy, clients, investors, and colleagues mingling, exchanging ideas, shaking hands. I moved through the crowd, Zara at my side, and for a moment everything felt steady, controlled. Then I saw her. Isla. Dressed elegantly, but the confidence she once carried felt hollow now. She was scanning the room, searching, I realized with a pang, for me. Do you see her? Zara asked quietly, her tone calm but curious. I nodded, keeping my gaze on her. Yeah, she's here. Zara didn't react negatively. She just squeezed my hand slightly and whispered, You're in control. Remember that. I exhaled slowly, bracing myself. I wasn't that broken boy anymore. I had survived her betrayal, built a life, and found someone who truly cared. But the tension in my chest reminded me that some wounds leave a scar that doesn't fade entirely. Isla spotted me across the room. Her eyes widened, and for a fleeting moment, I saw something I hadn't expected: fear. Maybe regret. Maybe recognition of what she had lost. I walked toward her slowly, letting her realize I wasn't running, that I was confident, unshaken. "Umar," she said softly, almost a whisper. "Yes," I replied, my voice calm, steady. "It's me." She swallowed, glancing around the room as if looking for an escape. I didn't expect to see you like this. You're thriving." I smiled faintly. "I've worked hard. For myself. I've survived what you left behind. That's all I needed." Her lips trembled, and I saw her struggle to find the right words. I made a mistake. I know that now. Leaving you, it was wrong." I studied her for a moment. The girl who walked away from promises and love was still there, but her eyes carried a weight she hadn't known before. "Do you realize what it cost me?" I asked quietly. She nodded, tears glistening. "Yes. I do. Every day, I see what I gave up. And I can't undo it." "Good," I said firmly, my voice unwavering. "Because I've moved on. I've survived. I've built a life I'm proud of, and I won't let the past haunt me anymore." Isla's hands shook as she clasped them together. I thought I wanted wealth. I thought that would make me happy. But it didn't. It never did. I see that now." I remained silent, letting her words hang in the air. I wasn't angry anymore, not really. Her realization didn't change the past, it only highlighted her mistakes. Zara approached silently, her presence calm and steady. She placed a hand lightly on my arm. "Umar, do you want me to handle this?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "No. I can do this. But I need to set the record straight." I looked at Isla again, my expression neutral but firm. "Listen, Isla. I won't lie, I was broken. I cried, I begged, I hated that you left. But I survived. I didn't wait for you to return. I didn't waste my life pining. I built something for myself." Isla's eyes filled with tears. I never thought about how much I hurt you. I thought I'd be happy with him. I didn't see how much I was losing." "Exactly," I said quietly. "You didn't see. And maybe that's the hardest part, you walked away thinking you made the right choice, but it cost you everything real. Love, trust, loyalty. Things you can't buy." She looked down, ashamed. I understand now." "Good," I said calmly. "Because I won't let you back into my life. Not now, not ever. My life is mine, and I won't let someone who abandoned me dictate my happiness." Isla's lips trembled. I wish I could take it back. I'm sorry, Umar. Truly." I exhaled, feeling the tension in my chest ease slightly. "Apologies don't undo the past, Isla. But your words, at least I know you recognize your mistake. That's something." Horace appeared then, clearly noticing the confrontation. His expression was defensive, almost aggressive. "Who's this?" he demanded, his tone sharp. "She's from my past," I said, keeping my tone even. "Nothing more." Horace's eyes narrowed. "Past? What does that mean?" "It means," I said calmly, "that I survived betrayal, heartbreak, and abandonment. I built my life without waiting for anyone. I am here now, living my own life. And she's a reminder of what I overcame. Horace's jaw tightened, but he said nothing further. He realized, perhaps, that I wasn't the broken boy anymore. I had risen. Isla looked at me one last time, tears streaming down her face. I hope you're happy, she whispered. I am, I said firmly. And I hope you learn from your choices as I did from mine. Later, as I stepped outside with Zara, the cool evening air felt refreshing. The encounter had been tense, raw, and cathartic all at once. You handled that well, Zara said softly. I nodded. I had to. I couldn't let her see me falter. Not now. Not after everything. You didn't, she said, smiling gently. You're stronger than ever. I had to be, I admitted. Seeing her again, it reminded me how far I've come. How much I've survived. And now, I can finally close that chapter. Zara linked her arm with mine. And start the next one together? I smiled. Yes. The next chapter is ours. That night, I lay in bed, replaying the encounter in my mind. I realized something crucial. I wasn't defined by betrayal, by heartbreak, or by the people who left me. I was defined by how I rose after it. Isla had finally realized her mistake. But I had realized something even more important. My life was mine to shape. My happiness didn't depend on anyone else's choices. I had survived the worst, and I had emerged stronger, wiser, and unshakable. Zara's hand brushing mine, her calm presence beside me, reminded me that real connections aren't measured in wealth or superficial choices. They're built on trust, respect, and shared strength. I've learned, I whispered to myself in the quiet darkness, that I am enough. That I can survive anything. That the past doesn't define me. And that the future is mine to create. The next morning, I walked into the office feeling lighter than I had in years. Every glance, every smile, every nod from colleagues reminded me that my life had moved beyond betrayal. I wasn't the boy abandoned in a café anymore. I was a man who had risen, endured, and now thrived. Bilal caught me at the door. Saw you handle Isla yesterday. Impressive. I shrugged. Had to. I needed to face it, for myself. Looks like it worked, he said, grinning. She realized she made a mistake. But more importantly, you realized how far you've come. I nodded. Exactly. And that's all that matters now. The past, it's just a lesson. Not a prison. Zara appeared then, her eyes calm, her smile steady. Ready to conquer the day? I took her hand, smiling genuinely for the first time in a long while. Yes. Together. And in that moment, I realized something profound. I had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and abandonment. I had risen from the ashes of my past. And now, with someone who truly mattered by my side, I was unstoppable. It wasn't long after the gala that I began to hear whispers. People I worked with, clients I had dealt with casually, started mentioning her name, Isla. I tried to ignore it at first, focusing on my work, my life, and Zara. But the rumors were persistent, and eventually, I realized they weren't just idle gossip. They were the truth. Her life wasn't what she had imagined. I was at a board meeting when Bilal leaned over. Umar, you might want to hear this. I frowned. Hear what? She's struggling. Horace? Not exactly the fairy tale partner she thought he was. I blinked. Struggling how? Bilal lowered his voice. Financial trouble. His business isn't doing well. And Isla, she's realizing she made some serious mistakes. I felt a strange mix of curiosity and detachment. For years, I had wanted revenge, closure, maybe even some acknowledgement of what she had done. But now, Hearing about her struggles, I felt nothing. No anger, no schadenfreude. Only a quiet understanding. Later that evening, Zara and I were reviewing contracts when she noticed my distracted gaze. "What's on your mind?" she asked gently. "Nothing," I said, but she didn't believe me. "You're thinking about her," she said softly. I sighed. "Yeah. Isla. I'm hearing things. About her life. About mistakes she made." Zara nodded. "And how does that make you feel?" "Indifferent," I admitted. I mean, I survived her betrayal. I've built something real, something solid. I can't let her failures affect me. I just wonder what life she could have had if she'd made different choices." Zara smiled faintly. "And what do you see?" "I see someone who walked away from love for money. Someone who could have had a life full of trust, respect, and happiness with me. But she chose differently. And now, she's realizing the consequences." Zara squeezed my hand. "And you're okay with that?" "I am," I said firmly. "Not because I want her to suffer, but because I've learned. I can't dwell on the past. I can't let her choices haunt me. I have my own life, my own happiness." A week later, I ran into a mutual friend who didn't know I'd seen Isla recently. "Umar. Have you heard? Isla's things aren't going well. Horace's business is failing. They're struggling to keep up appearances." I nodded slowly. "I see. That must be difficult. They say she's upset. Regretful," the friend added. I allowed myself a small, controlled smile. "Regret is a powerful teacher," I said quietly. Later that day, I met Zara at a café for lunch. "You seem calm," she said, noticing my composure. "I am," I said. "I'm realizing something. It's not revenge I want. It's not even satisfaction. It's peace. And understanding. Isla, she could have had so much. But she made her choice. I made mine." Zara reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "And you're happy with your choice?" "I am," I said, meeting her eyes. "Completely. I chose resilience. I chose to survive. I chose to rise from the ashes she left behind. And now, I have someone real beside me." A few days later, I received an unexpected message from Isla. "Umar, can we meet? I need to apologize. I realize what I did wrong." I stared at my phone for a long time. The impulse to respond angrily flared for a moment, but I pushed it aside. I typed back carefully, "There's nothing to discuss. I've moved on. I hope you find clarity in your own life." She responded almost immediately, "I understand. Thank you." I put the phone down and smiled faintly. Not because I felt superior, but because I was free. I wasn't chained to her mistakes, her choices, her regrets. I was living my own life, building my own happiness. Later that week, Zara and I were walking through the city after work. The skyline glowed with evening lights, and for a moment everything felt perfect. "You're quiet," she said, studying me. "I'm thinking," I said. "About her life. About what could have been. But it's not mine to fix. It never was. And it never should have been." Zara nodded. "And you're okay with that?" "I am," I said again. "Because I have everything I need. And she'll have to find her own way." She smiled. "And you'll be here, guiding only yourself, not her?" "Yes," I said firmly. "I'm guiding only myself. My happiness isn't contingent on anyone else's choices anymore. Not hers, not anyone's." That weekend, Bilal invited me to a small gathering of friends. Conversation flowed easily, laughter filled the room, and for the first time in months, I felt completely detached from the past. Umar, Bilal said as we stepped onto the balcony, you look different. Lighter. Happier. I admitted. I'm done carrying anger, resentment, or pain from the past. I've built a life I'm proud of. And I'm not looking back. Bilal grinned. Good. Because you deserve it. I nodded, watching the city lights sparkle below. I do. And I'm not wasting it on regret or revenge. That evening, as I returned home, I thought about Isla again. She had chosen wealth over love, and now she was realizing what she had lost. But her mistakes didn't matter to me anymore. They were hers to face, not mine. I found Zara in the living room, reading. She looked up, smiling. Long day? Yes, I admitted. But a good one. Peaceful. And enlightening. She closed her book. Enlightening how? I realized that the life she could have had wasn't mine to give. She made her choice. I made mine. And mine is full of trust, love, and strength. I'm free from the past, from her, from all of it. She walked over and wrapped her arms around me. And that's how it should be. The past stays behind. The future is ours. I held her tightly. Yes, ours. And I intend to make it count. The next day at work, a colleague mentioned Isla again, curious about her situation. I heard she's struggling financially. And, personally. Horace isn't what she expected. I smiled faintly, keeping my composure. Life has its lessons. And sometimes, people learn the hard way. The colleague nodded. True. But do you feel any satisfaction? No, I said firmly. Satisfaction comes from my own accomplishments, not someone else's failures. I've grown. I've risen. That's all that matters. Later that evening, I walked through the quiet streets with Zara by my side. The wind was cool, brushing against my face, and I felt a rare stillness in my chest. You're at peace, she said softly. I am, I admitted. Finally. I survived betrayal. I survived heartbreak. And I survived seeing what could have been. But that life, it's not mine. Mine is this one, with you, building something real, strong, and lasting. She smiled, her hand finding mine. And it's beautiful. Ours. Yes, I said, squeezing her hand. Ours. And I'll never forget the lessons of the past. But I'll also never let it control me again. We walked together, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement, and I realized something profound. I had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and the life I could have had with someone else. I had survived. I had risen. And now, my future was mine, bright, steady, and full of hope. No regrets. No lingering pain. Only growth, strength, and love that was real. And for the first time in years, I smiled without hesitation, without fear, knowing that the life I had chosen was the life I deserved. The day had finally arrived. My wedding day. Months of planning, months of anticipation, and yet I felt calm. Not the jittery, anxious kind of calm, but a steady, deep-rooted peace I had never known before. I was marrying Zara, the woman who had stood by me through thick and thin, who had seen the real me, scars and all, and chose to stay. The ceremony was set in a small, elegant hall filled with close family, friends, and colleagues. The flowers smelled faintly of jasmine and rose, and the soft music created an almost ethereal atmosphere. I adjusted my tie for the 10th time, pacing in the waiting room, when Bilal came over, grinning. You look nervous, he said, though his grin suggested otherwise. "I'm not nervous," I said, trying to sound casual, though my heart beat faster. "Just excited." "Excited?" "More like terrified," he teased. "This is it, Umar. No going back now." I chuckled softly. No going back. And I wouldn't want to. Bilal's eyes flicked toward the entrance. "Guests are arriving. Everyone's here. Including someone from your past." I froze slightly. "Who?" He smirked knowingly. "Isla." I exhaled, steadying myself. "I don't care," I said firmly, though a flicker of something in curiosity rose in me. The ceremony began. Guests took their seats, and the music shifted to something more melodic. I stood at the altar, waiting, heart steady. Then I saw her, Zara, glowing in her dress, walking toward me with a calm, confident smile. My chest tightened, not with fear, but with love. Real love. As she reached me, she whispered softly, "Ready?" "Always," I replied, taking her hands. The officiant began speaking, words of commitment and love flowing, but my mind wandered briefly. And there she was, Isla, standing in the back row, her eyes wide, her expression a mixture of shock and disbelief. I noticed Horace beside her, awkwardly shifting, clearly uncomfortable. I said nothing. I didn't need to. Seeing her there, realizing what she had lost, was enough. The vows came. I took a deep breath. "Zara, from the moment we met, you've challenged me, supported me, and believed in me when no one else did. You've seen the real me, the scars, the mistakes, the pain, and you've chosen to stay. Today, I vow to love you, to honor you, and to face every day with you by my side. You are my strength, my home, and my future." Tears welled in her eyes. "Umar. I vow the same. You've risen from everything life threw at you. You've survived, endured, and become the man I always believed you could be. I will stand by you, love you, and share this life with you, no matter what comes our way." When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, I felt an overwhelming surge of joy. I kissed her gently, and the world seemed to fall away, past, regrets, betrayal, it all faded into nothing. After the ceremony, we moved to the reception. Guests congratulated us, laughter and music filling the hall. And then, inevitably, my eyes met hers again, Isla. She had stayed, unnoticed by many, but I saw her. Standing silently at the edge of the room, tears streaming down her face, watching everything she had walked away from. I didn't approach her. I didn't need to. I simply acknowledged her presence with a calm nod, as if to say, "I've moved on. I've survived. I've risen." Horace looked uneasy, his hand gripping hers. He whispered something in her ear, and she flinched slightly, shaking her head. I realized then that she wasn't the woman I had once known, the girl who left me without a second thought. She was now a woman who understood, far too late, what she had lost. Bilal nudged me gently. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "I'm more than okay. I feel free. Complete. Whole. And seeing her now? It doesn't hurt. It just confirms what I've known all along. I chose the right path." Zara leaned against me, her head resting lightly on my shoulder. "She's crying," she whispered softly. "Yes," I replied calmly. "She's realizing her mistakes. And that's enough. I don't need to watch her suffer. I just move forward." Zara smiled faintly. "And we're moving forward. Together." "Yes," I said firmly. "Together. And nothing can touch that." Later, during the reception, a friend came over, whispering in my ear, "Umar. Isla looks devastated." She keeps asking if she made a mistake. I smiled faintly. She did. And she knows it now. But it's not my burden. My life is mine. And I won't let her regret overshadow it. Bilal leaned close. You know, most people would have wanted revenge, some kind of public humiliation. But you're above that. I shrugged. Revenge is meaningless. I survived for myself, not to punish someone else. Seeing her now, realizing her loss, is proof enough. I don't need to act. I don't need to speak. The truth is visible, and it's enough. As the night wore on, I danced with Zara. Each step, each spin, felt like a statement, a declaration that I had truly moved on, that betrayal and heartbreak no longer had a hold over me. I'm proud of you, Zara whispered during a slow dance. You've endured so much and still remained true to yourself. I smiled, resting my forehead against hers. I had to. I couldn't let the past define me. And now, I can finally embrace the future, without fear, without resentment, without anything holding me back. Across the room, I caught glimpses of Isla repeatedly. Her tears had turned into quiet sobs, her face pale, her shoulders trembling. Horace tried to comfort her, but it was clear that money, power, and status could never replace what she had walked away from. I felt no triumph in watching her pain. Only a calm clarity. Life had shown her the consequences of her choices, and I had shown myself the power of resilience, love, and growth. Isla finally turned and left quietly, not drawing attention. I watched her go, feeling nothing but peace. Not hatred. Not anger. Only understanding that life had moved forward, and so had I. Later, as the reception wound down, Zara and I stepped onto the balcony. The city lights shimmered below, and the night air was crisp and refreshing. You did it, she said softly, her eyes reflecting the glow of the city. Yes, I said, taking her hand. We did it. And seeing her today, it's closure. Not revenge, not satisfaction. Just clarity. And freedom. Zara smiled faintly. And what about the life she could have had? I laughed softly. She had a chance. But she made her choice. I made mine. Mine is full of love, trust, and real happiness. Hers, well, that's hers to bear. And I don't need to carry it for her. Later, alone for a moment, I thought about the journey, the broken café, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights, the struggle to survive, and the rise from nothing. Each memory came with its own pang, but none of them weighed on me the way they used to. I had faced betrayal, survived heartbreak, and found someone who truly mattered. And now, at the altar, at the reception, watching the woman who had left me cry silently in the back row, I realized something important: the past doesn't define the future. Choices do. Actions do. Love does. And I had chosen wisely. As the night drew to a close, Zara and I stepped out together, hand in hand. The stars shone above, quiet and eternal. I felt a sense of peace, a sense of triumph, not over her, not over anyone, but over the past. Over the pain. Over the heartbreak that had once threatened to consume me. I turned to Zara and smiled. This is the life I always wanted. Not wealth. Not revenge. Not validation. This. She smiled back, her eyes warm and steady. And it's ours. Yes, I said firmly. Ours. And nothing, not betrayal, not regret, not anyone else, can take it away. In that moment, under the stars, I felt complete. Free. Loved. Whole. The boy abandoned in a cafe years ago was gone. In his place stood a man who had survived, endured, and risen stronger than ever. And the woman who had once left me for money? She was just a shadow of the past, a lesson I had learned, a reminder of how far I had come. I turned to Zara, pulling her close. "Here's to the future," I whispered. "To us," she replied. And together, we stepped forward, leaving the past and her behind. It had been weeks since the wedding, and life with Zara felt like a dream I had fought to make real. Work was thriving, our relationship was strong, and for the first time in years, I felt truly at peace. But peace has a way of being interrupted, usually when least expected. I was at my office late one evening, reviewing contracts, when Bilal knocked and stepped inside. "Umar, something you might want to know," he said cautiously. I looked up from my papers. "What is it?" Bilal hesitated. "Ayla, she's making inquiries about your company. She's asking investors, clients, basically anyone who might give her information about your rise. She wants to know how you did it." I leaned back, surprised but not alarmed. "She's curious," I said quietly, more to myself than to him. Not threatening. Just curious. Bilal frowned. Curious, or trying to reclaim what she lost? I shook my head. No. She can't reclaim what was never hers to begin with. She's just realizing the truth now, too late. Later that evening, I received an unexpected visit at home. Zara was with me, curled on the couch, reading. I opened the door to find Ayla standing there, hesitant, tears in her eyes. Haris wasn't with her this time, just her, fragile, vulnerable, and painfully aware of her own mistakes. "Umar," she began softly. "Yes?" I said, voice calm but firm. I need to apologize. I've done everything wrong. Leaving you, walking away from what we had. I thought I was making the right choice." I studied her quietly, letting her words sink into the silence between us. "You did make a choice," I said finally. "And that choice cost you everything real. But it doesn't define me. It never did." She swallowed hard. I see that now. And seeing you, thriving, happy. I realized how much I lost. And I need to know how you did it. How you rose above everything I left behind." I smiled faintly, a mix of sadness and clarity washing over me. It wasn't about wealth or revenge. It was about survival. About enduring betrayal without letting it destroy me. About choosing resilience over despair. And about finding someone who truly sees me, not just what I could provide. Her eyes widened, realization dawning slowly. "Zara, she's the one?" "Yes," I said simply. "She's my present, my future, the person who stayed when others walked away. She's the one who mattered. And she still does." Ayla's shoulders slumped. I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," I said firmly. "Your pride, your choices, they've spoken for themselves." She looked down, ashamed. I thought I was chasing a better life. I didn't see that love, respect, and trust were the things that truly mattered." "Exactly," I said quietly. "You thought money would bring happiness. It didn't. You thought abandoning love would make life easier. It didn't. And now you see that your choices have consequences, ones you can't undo." Tears fell freely this time, unrestrained. I should have been patient. I should have stayed. I was selfish. "I know," I said softly, though I felt no anger. "And recognizing that now, it's too late. Not because I want it to be, but because life moved forward. And I moved forward with it." Ayla's eyes glistened with shame. I guess I realized what I threw away." "Yes," I said firmly. And that realization, that's the lesson. You can't live in the past. You can't undo it. You can only move forward. But for me, the past is closed. I'm done with it. Zara, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Isla, what you see now isn't vengeance. It's truth. Umar worked hard, endured pain, and chose love over bitterness. That's why he's happy. And that's why your regret can't change anything. Isla blinked, swallowing hard. I understand. I see it now. Yes, I said quietly. And I hope you learn from it. That's all I can offer you, understanding, not forgiveness, not reconciliation. You made your choice. I made mine. Later that week, rumors began circulating more widely. Isla had been asking colleagues, investors, even mutual friends about my rise, how I built my company, how I achieved the life she abandoned. People whispered that she looked devastated, ashamed, and increasingly desperate. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile at her suffering. But I observed, quietly, as the consequences of her choices became clear. She had traded love for money, and now she had neither. She was left with the hollow knowledge of what she lost. One evening, I was at a conference when a friend approached. Umar, did you hear? Isla, she's been trying to contact Horace's clients directly. Horace is panicking. And she looks miserable. I nodded slowly. I see. And does it affect me? No, he said quickly. It doesn't. But it's obvious she's realizing the truth. That her pride, it's shattered. I smiled faintly. Good. Let her learn her lesson. I've learned mine already. That night, Zara and I were walking along the quiet streets, the city lights reflecting in puddles from the afternoon rain. You handled her well, she said softly. Calm, firm, without malice. I had to, I admitted. There's no satisfaction in revenge. There's no closure in seeing someone suffer. The lesson, that's hers. My happiness, that's mine. And your life, she asked, looking up at me. Exactly, I said, squeezing her hand. My life. My love. My choices. She lost that by leaving me. And now, she's seeing the consequences. And I'm finally free of her shadow. Days later, Isla sent a final message. Umar. I understand now. I see what I lost. And I'm truly sorry for everything. I didn't reply immediately. I stared at the message for a long time, reflecting on the journey, the café, the heartbreak, the months of struggle, the rise to something greater. Then I typed, your apology is noted. I've moved on. I hope you find your own path. She didn't respond. And I didn't need her to. Zara noticed my calm demeanor that evening. She's not contacting you again? No, I said. And that's fine. That's how it should be. The past belongs to her. The present belongs to us. She smiled faintly, leaning against me. And the future? I kissed her forehead. Ours. All ours. Free from the past, free from regret, free from shadows. Completely ours. Weeks later, during a company event, I saw her one last time, Isla, standing in the corner, silent, pale, and clearly humbled. She caught my eye briefly, then looked away, ashamed and aware of her mistakes. I didn't feel the slightest pang. Only peace. Relief. Satisfaction, not from her suffering, but from my own growth. I had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and abandonment. I had found love, strength, and purpose. And I had risen above it all. She had made her choices. I had made mine. And the consequences, her shattered pride, her regret, were hers to bear. That night, I returned home, holding Zara's hand as we walked through the quiet streets. The city felt calm, reflective, almost sacred. I realized something profound. Life doesn't always reward those who take shortcuts or chase shallow desires. Life rewards resilience, integrity, and the courage to rise above pain. "You're at peace," Zara whispered, noticing my serene expression. "Yes," I admitted. "Completely." Seeing her, realizing the truth, confirms everything. The past can't hurt me anymore. The future, ours, is bright, strong, and unshakable. She smiled, squeezing my hand. "And that's the life you deserve." "Yes," I said softly. "The life I built. The life I chose. And the life I will continue to protect, nurture, and cherish, with you." For the first time in years, I felt the full weight of freedom, not from wealth, not from success, not from revenge, but from the past. From betrayal. From the pain that once consumed me. And as I held Zara close, I knew this: no one could take this from me. Not her, not anyone else. My happiness, my life, my love, they were mine. And I had fought, survived, and risen to claim them. The shadow of my past had been fully shattered. The months after Isla's last message passed quietly, almost blissfully. Life with Zara had settled into a rhythm of joy, laughter, and shared ambitions. Every day, I woke up grateful, not for wealth, not for recognition, but for the love and stability I had fought so hard to earn. One Saturday morning, Zara and I were preparing breakfast together in our apartment. The sun poured through the windows, casting a golden glow on the kitchen. I chopped vegetables while she stirred eggs, and for the first time in years, the world felt uncomplicated, safe, and ours. "Umar," she said softly, glancing at me, "do you ever think about her?" I paused, knife in hand. "Sometimes," I admitted. "But it's different now. Not anger. Not regret. Just reflection. I see what she chose, and I see what we've built. The contrast, it's clear." Zara smiled gently. "And that's enough closure?" "Yes," I said firmly. "It is. Her choices are hers. My life, our life, is ours. Nothing else matters." Later that day, we went for a walk through the city. Children played in the park, couples strolled hand in hand, and the air smelled faintly of rain from the night before. It was ordinary, mundane, and perfect. "You know," Zara said quietly, leaning against me, "you've come so far, Umar. From that broken boy in a tiny café to the man you are now. I'm proud of you." I looked down at her, smiling. "I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me when no one else did. You stayed when others left. And that made all the difference." She laughed softly. "You think too much sometimes." "I do," I admitted, laughing along. "But reflection keeps me grounded. Keeps me remembering where I came from, and what I've survived." That evening, as we returned home, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Curious, I opened it. It was Isla. I wanted to see you one last time. I've learned my lesson, truly. I don't want anything from you, not your time, not your attention, not your forgiveness. I just wanted to acknowledge you. To tell you that I see now what I lost. And that you deserve happiness. You always did." I stared at the screen for a long moment. The impulse to respond was there, but I knew what I had to do. I typed carefully, "I appreciate your words. You've acknowledged the truth, and that's enough. I've moved on. I hope you find your own peace." No response came, and I didn't expect one. Zara noticed my calm expression and reached for my hand. Everything okay? She asked. Yes, I said softly. It's closure. Final closure. No anger, no bitterness. Just understanding. And peace. She smiled, her eyes warm. I'm glad. You deserve that. I do, I agreed, pulling her close. And I'm finally living it. No shadows, no past regrets, only us. A few weeks later, we hosted a small dinner for friends and family. The room buzzed with conversation, laughter, and warmth. Bilal raised a toast. To Omar and Zara, he said, holding his glass high. May your life together be full of love, joy, and resilience. And may you never forget the lessons that brought you here. I clinked my glass with his, smiling broadly. Thank you, Bilal. We've learned them well. Guests smiled and cheered, and I looked around the room, feeling a sense of completion. The broken boy who once begged in a café, heart shattered and dreams deferred, no longer existed. He had risen, endured, and now thrived. Later, alone with Zara on the balcony, the city stretched out beneath us, lights twinkling like stars fallen to earth. You've really found peace, she said, resting her head on my shoulder. I have, I said. And it feels incredible. Freedom isn't wealth or power. It's letting go of the past. Letting go of the people who hurt you. And embracing what's real, what matters. Zara smiled, fingers tracing patterns on my arm. And what matters is us. Yes, I said, kissing her forehead gently. Us, our life, our love. That's what matters. Always. The months after Isla's last message passed quietly, almost blissfully. Life with Zara had settled into a rhythm of joy, laughter, and shared ambitions. Every day, I woke up grateful, not for wealth, not for recognition, but for the love and stability I had fought so hard to earn. One Saturday morning, Zara and I were preparing breakfast together in our apartment. The sun poured through the windows, casting a golden glow on the kitchen. I chopped vegetables while she stirred eggs, and for the first time in years, the world felt uncomplicated, safe, and ours. Umar, she said softly, glancing at me, do you ever think about her? I paused, knife in hand. Sometimes, I admitted. But it's different now. Not anger. Not regret. Just reflection. I see what she chose, and I see what we've built. The contrast, it's clear. Zara smiled gently. And that's enough closure? Yes, I said firmly. It is. Her choices are hers. My life, our life, is ours. Nothing else matters. Later that day, we went for a walk through the city. Children played in the park, couples strolled hand in hand, and the air smelled faintly of rain from the night before. It was ordinary, mundane, and perfect. You know, Zara said quietly, leaning against me, you've come so far, Umar. From that broken boy in a tiny cafe to the man you are now. I'm proud of you. I looked down at her, smiling. I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me when no one else did. You stayed when others left. And that made all the difference. She laughed softly. You think too much sometimes. I do, I admitted, laughing along. But reflection keeps me grounded. Keeps me remembering where I came from, and what I've survived. That evening, as we returned home, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Curious, I opened it. It was Isla. I wanted to see you one last time. I've learned my lesson, truly. I don't want anything from you, not your time, not your attention, not your forgiveness. I just wanted to acknowledge you. To tell you that I see now what I lost. And that you deserve happiness. You always did. I stared at the screen for a long moment. The impulse to respond was there, but I knew what I had to do. I typed carefully, "I appreciate your words. You've acknowledged the truth, and that's enough. I've moved on. I hope you find your own peace." No response came, and I didn't expect one. Zara noticed my calm expression and reached for my hand. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yes," I said softly. "It's closure. Final closure. No anger, no bitterness. Just understanding. And peace." She smiled, her eyes warm. "I'm glad. You deserve that." "I do," I agreed, pulling her close. "And I'm finally living it. No shadows, no past regrets, only us." A few weeks later, we hosted a small dinner for friends and family. The room buzzed with conversation, laughter, and warmth. Bilal raised a toast. "To Omar and Zara," he said, holding his glass high. "May your life together be full of love, joy, and resilience. And may you never forget the lessons that brought you here." I clinked my glass with his, smiling broadly. "Thank you, Bilal. We've learned them well." Guests smiled and cheered, and I looked around the room, feeling a sense of completion. The broken boy who once begged in a café, heart shattered and dreams deferred, no longer existed. He had risen, endured, and now thrived. Later, alone with Zara on the balcony, the city stretched out beneath us, lights twinkling like stars fallen to earth. "You've really found peace," she said, resting her head on my shoulder. "I have," I said. "And it feels incredible. Freedom isn't wealth or power. It's letting go of the past. Letting go of the people who hurt you. And embracing what's real, what matters." Zara smiled, fingers tracing patterns on my arm. "And what matters is us." "Yes," I said, kissing her forehead gently. "Us, our life, our love. That's what matters. Always." A few days later, I received a message from a mutual acquaintance. "Umar, just so you know, Isla's life has completely changed. She left Horace. She's moving to a different city. She's starting over, finally facing the consequences of her choices." I read the message and smiled faintly. Good. She's learning her lesson. That's all she deserves. Bilal, standing beside me, nodded. "You're different, Umar. You've grown. You've truly moved on." "I have," I said quietly. "And I never want to look back. The past, it's behind me. The future, it's ours." Weeks later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Zara and I were sitting on the balcony with coffee, sunlight warming our faces. "You know," she said softly, "life feels perfect right now. Not because it's perfect, but because we've earned it. We've survived, endured, and risen." "Yes," I agreed. "It feels like true happiness. Not fleeting, not fragile. Solid, real, and ours." She smiled, squeezing my hand. "And nothing from the past can touch it." "Nothing," I said firmly. "Not betrayal, not heartbreak, not regret. We are stronger than all of that. And we will stay that way." That evening, I reflected on the journey, the café, Isla's betrayal, the heartbreak, the nights of despair, the rise from nothing, the discovery of real love with Zara. Every moment had shaped me, every scar had taught me resilience. I thought about Isla one last time, the girl who chose money over love, who underestimated the power of patience, loyalty, and trust. She had learned her lesson, painfully, and now it was hers to bear. I felt no anger. No triumph. Only quiet understanding and deep satisfaction in the life I had built. The following morning, we walked through the park, hands entwined, the sun rising gently behind the trees. Children laughed, couples strolled, and the air carried the scent of possibility. I realized then what true happiness felt like. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't wealth. It wasn't validation from those who abandoned me. It was this, Zara by my side, love in my heart, peace in my mind, and a future we controlled together. Umar, Zara whispered, leaning against me, we're happy, aren't we? Yes, I said, smiling genuinely for the first time in years. Truly happy. And nothing can change that. Nothing. We sat quietly on the bench, the world moving around us, yet our corner of it remained serene, untouchable, and ours. That evening, as we returned home, I reflected one final time. The past had taught me lessons I would never forget. Betrayal, heartbreak, and abandonment had all been part of my journey, shaping me into the man I had become. But I had risen. I had endured. I had chosen love, trust, and resilience over bitterness. Isla had once held a place in my heart, but that place was no longer hers to occupy. I had found someone who truly belonged there. Someone who saw me, supported me, and loved me for everything I was, and everything I had become. I turned to Zara, taking her hand and looking into her eyes. This is it, I said softly. This is what I fought for. This is real happiness. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the city lights, her hand warm in mine. And we'll protect it. Together. Yes, I whispered, holding her close. Together. Always. As I lay in bed that night, the moonlight casting soft shadows across the room, I felt a profound sense of peace. The boy abandoned in a café years ago was gone. In his place stood a man who had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and abandonment. A man who had found love, built a life, and claimed happiness on his own terms. The past had no power over me anymore. Its lessons were learned, its wounds healed. The future, ours to shape, ours to cherish, ours to protect. And in that quiet moment, I realized the most important truth: happiness isn't found in revenge, wealth, or validation. Happiness is found in resilience, love, and the courage to rise above every obstacle. I had survived. I had risen. And I had found true, unshakable happiness.